Hey guys, it's Chris from Versus 3D, down here at 3D Printing Canada for another installment of, hey, let's build something cool with Fusion 360. So today, it was actually Chris, the owner Chris, not me Chris's idea to do a hook. So I thought, okay, well, a hook is kind of boring. Let's make it a little bit cooler. So I decided to make a small coat rack. Want to see how I did it? Watch this. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is we're going to create a sketch. So I'm going to create sketch, and we are going to use the YZ plane for this one. This is the vertical plane. So, and pardon my sniffles, I have a cold. So, anyway, what we're gonna do is we're gonna start by just making a basic rectangle. I'm gonna move this down here and shrink it down a little bit. So I'm gonna hit R for rectangle, start at the center point, go up and to the left, and we're gonna make that width 8 millimeters. So I'm gonna hit 8, hit tab, and then I'm gonna move this over and make this 150 millimeters tall. So this is basically the side view of the base of the hook. This part gets mounted on the wall. So now we need to add the hooks. We're going to add those here. So we're going to do that with simple arcs. So I'm going to create an arc, 3-point. And this is all going to be done kind of by eye. So we're going to start our first point right here at the corner. So we're going to click here. Then we're going to kind of drag up. And we want to go up and out somewhere around 50 millimeters, give or take. It's not science. And we can click there, and now we got to place the arc. So now as soon as I kind of move my cursor down, you'll see it snaps to the bottom where it's parallel to the bottom. That's what we want. So we're going to click there, and there we go. But now we're going to make a second hook up here. We don't want it to be exactly the same as this one, because if you know how a coat hook works, if you hang one here and one right here on top of it, this one usually falls, it doesn't grab, whatever. So you want this top one to come out further. So now I am going to start here, go out further, and then start going up. We want basically somewhat the same type of curve. So I'll click there, and same thing. So it has it snaps right there, and it's flush there. Click OK. Excellent. Now we'll hit escape to get out of that. So now we're just going to offset these. So I'm going to hit O for offset and click on this. I'm going to drag this down. We can make it huge if we wanted to, but that's silly. We're going to make it 8 millimeters, just like the thickness of the base. We'll do the same thing here. O, click, drag it in, and make it 8. So here's our two different size hooks. Okay, so now what we need to do is complete these profiles. So L for line, click and connect them, and the same thing here, click and connect them. Perfect. Okay, so here's where we're at so far. So this is basically the side view of our hook. So now we're gonna fancy it up, not really, but just a little tiny bit. We're gonna just round these edges off. So instead of using an actual fillet on the model, we're gonna use a sketch fillet. So sketch, fillet, and I'm gonna click right here on this corner point. And you see that red shows up, and I'm gonna click over here, and the red shows up again. So let me just round them off a little bit. So let's make them 4, so that way it's nice and round. And then we're going to do the same thing up here. So if I right click, repeat fillet, dot, click right there on both those points, and then we'll make that also 4. Okay. So now we've got nice rounded points there. But now we want to reinforce these a little bit, because if you hung something on this is clearly, no matter how solid, I mean, if you printed it at 100% in fill, it would be okay, but we want this to be solid in here and easier to support the whatever weight you're going to hang. So I'm going to make another sketch fillet. So we'll do that here, and I'm going to click on this line and this line. And now that's going to give me a 20 just to start with. I would go a little more than that. I'm going to go with 30. And then right click, repeat fillet, click and click. This one doesn't need to be quite as big. Why don't we go, we'll say to 12. Now I'm going to hide these points and constraints so you can see it a little bit better. So now this is the profile of our hook. It's not that difficult. So we're going to stop the sketch, and then we're going to go to the home view. Then we're going to just click on it and hit E for extrude, and we'll extrude it 10. And there it is. That is a double hook for a jacket or a hat and a jacket. It's very simply done. Okay, so now from here, what we're going to do is we need a way to attach this to the wall. So we are going to create another sketch. So I'm going to just click on this face right here and then click create sketch. And now we're going to create a sketch right here. So I'm going to hit P for project, and I want to just project that one section of the face and click OK. So now I've got this here. So now I'm going to create a line right straight down the middle just to make my life easier. L for line, move right over to here and to the X on this line until the triangle pops up so I know it's straight in the middle. Click and straight down. Okay, hit escape. Now I want this to be a construction line. I don't want to have to worry about it, so I'm going to click the line itself. I'm going to go over here and click on construction. Now that line doesn't interfere with the profile. So now we're going to create a couple of circles. So I hit C for circle, and I'm going to start my center point right here on this construction line, and click from the center, and we'll move it out, and we'll say 5 millimeters should be big enough for a screw. And then we'll do the same thing here, 5 millimeters, and there we go. We'll stop the sketch. Okay, now we need to extrude those, but we're going to use the cut command. So we're going to hit E for extrude, click on these guys here, and I'm going to drag this arrow back so it starts to cut. And my extent, we're going to choose all. So now it cuts the entire way through, and click OK. Now we have holes. And I'm going to hide those sketches and those origins. So here is a basic hook. Okay, so if we just wanted to hang up, say, a baseball cap and a jacket, then we're all good. But we probably want to hang up more than one thing. So let's kind of wing it from here, and we will make this a multiple hook, I guess. We'll call it a multiple hook. So what we're going to do is we're going to just kind of edit this form a little bit, and then we're going to add some more pieces. So we're going to create a new sketch, and I'm going to create it right on this face right here, because I want to be able to see these circle points that I made. So what we're going to do is we're going to project this point and this point. These are the center points of that circle, so I know where they are. Okay, so now I'm going to let's project something else. We're going to project this line right here. Now I am going to make a new line straight from here all the way down. Doesn't matter how long it is, just making sure it is at 90 degrees. Okay, now I'm going to hit escape and hit D for dimension, and I'm going to dimension this to be 4 millimeters away. So now this is exactly halfway between this back part and this front piece. Okay, now I am going to create a center rectangle. Now again, remember, I'm winging this. So the center rectangle, and I'm going to start it right here on this center point that I marked. And we're going to make this 5 millimeters. No, that's not big enough. We'll make it 10 millimeters. Okay, now we're going to trim these out. So T for trim, that line, and this line, all gone. And we'll delete these lines because we don't need them. Now I'll do the same thing down here. So center rectangle right here. 10 millimeters. And fine. So now we'll trim these lines out here. And delete these ones here. All we care about is these. So now we'll stop the sketch, show the sketches, and then we're going to hit E for extrude, click on these 2 sections that we just did, and we're going to cut them out. We'll go distance all. So now we have something that looks like this. Now let's go to the back. So right now, I'm going to create another sketch. This time I want it on this back face here. And then we're going to project these squares. Also, these circles. Okay, and I'm going to hide the bodies just so you can see what's happening here. So now we just have this. Now, what we're going to do is we are going to create a crossbeam. So, in order to do this, we need to have tolerance set up in between so we can actually connect them together, because if we printed them with no space in between, then unless your printer is absolutely perfect, then they won't fit together. And even if your printer is absolutely perfect, chances are they still won't fit together. Okay, so now what we need to do is figure out how many hooks we want and the spacing between them, but we don't have to go crazy on that right now. Let's set up the offsets. So we want to make these just a tiny bit smaller, or inside what we're normally doing here. So I want to hit O for offset, and I want to bring this up. So this is going to be this way, going in. We're going to create that offset at 0.1 millimeters. Okay. Then we're going to turn this into a construction line by clicking on it and hitting X. Now, we're going to do the same thing here. O for offset, I have male. Bring it down here, and we're going to change that to 0.1. And then again, we're going to click on the outside one and hit X for construction. So now this is the size of our crossbeam here. So let's do the same thing down here. Click O for offset. Bring it inside, 0.1. Click X for construction. Same thing one more time. Click O for offset, bring it inside, 0.1. Click here and X for construction. Okay. What we can do here is we can create some lines. So I'm going to create a line right from this inside line out. And right now, I'm just going to say, okay, that's going to be 50 millimeters. And the same thing here from the inner one, not instruction. We'll bring it out. Ooh, make sure it's straight. 50 millimeters. We can always change the number, which we probably will. Alright, so now we go up here, the exact same thing. Line. 50. Good. Uh-oh, did I do the one? Sure did. Delete. Line. 50. And one more. All right. So now here's our cross beams starting to happen here. So I think it's probably best to do it at 100. So I'm just going to double click, hit 100, double click, 100, same thing. Okay, so now we've got this cross beam set up here. Okay, so now to get it evenly spaced on both sides, we're going to use a mirror. One thing we need to do before we mirror is this line is actually on another sketch, so I'm going to project that as well. So I'm going to hit P for project and project that center line there. So now I'm going to hit mirror, so it's going to be sketch, mirror, and I'm going to mirror these 4 lines here. The mirror line is the center line, and here we go. Click OK. So now we have this line that runs all the way through. Okay? So now I'm stopping that sketch, gonna go back to home, and we'll show the bodies. So now we're gonna start getting into some components here. So here we go. First thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna open up this bodies. I'm gonna create body 1, and I'm going to call, I'm gonna create components from bodies. So now this is component 1. I'm gonna click it, double click it, but you click it slowly and call it hook. Hook 1. Okay. Now we're gonna, we have to go back into that sketch. Hang on one sec. Go back to the sketch. We have to connect these lines here so we've got a complete profile. So just adding simple lines. Okay. Now we'll stop the sketch. So now we're going to extrude these. So I'm going to hit E for extrude and click on these 4. And I'm going to extrude them out. -8. Okay, but now we're at this option says join. We're not going to do that. In fact, I didn't add a tolerance, so I'm going to hit cancel, and we're going to go back into sketch 4. I am going to offset. No, I'm not. I'm going to project these outside lines here. Now I'm going to click one of those outside lines and hit offset, and it won't let me. Let's go to the back view here. Let me hide that body again. P for project, this line, and this line. Okay, here we go. O for offset, 0.1, and then same thing here. O for offset, move it over, and make that 0.1. Now that we've got some space, we'll stop the sketch and we will go back and we're gonna extrude E these 4 guys here. And we're gonna extrude them back this way, -8. Is that what we did? Yep. So instead of a new body, we're gonna actually make this a new component because we're gonna do a little bit more work to this. And click OK. So now we can hide the hook and see the beginning here. So now what we need to do is we need to bring these sections out here. So we're gonna hit E for extrude again and click on these sections here. We're gonna leave the circles open and we're gonna extrude those. Since it wants to go the other way, we want them to come this way. We're gonna extrude that -3.9 because we're giving ourselves that 0.1 millimeter tolerance. And then the option can be join. Oh, it won't let us though because I was dumb. Zoom is super close and click on these little tiny empty spaces that we had for the tolerance. See, remember when I said in another video that I'm not a fusion expert? I just know how to do what I do? These are examples. Also, I'm tired. Alright, so now join and hit OK. So now we'll hide those sketches and we'll show it. So now we just have these 2 little brackets here. And when we add the hook, you can see what'll happen here is you snap these together and then you put the screw right through both pieces. So now what we're going to do here is we're going to make some copies and move things around a little bit. So this is going to be 3 sections of hook. So 100 millimeters is 10 centimeters, which we'll say is big enough. You can clearly make this bigger if you need to, if you have the ability to print on a bigger scale. If you've got a CR10 or something like that that's bigger, you can print bigger. Because right now, this is over 200 millimeters tall, wide. So if you've only got, say, like if you've got an Ender 3, you could print this crossbar exactly the size it is, but that's it. You couldn't go any further than that. So it all depends on your printer and how big you need to do things, or how big you can do things. So now we're going to hide the hook again, and we're also going to hide these component pieces. We're going to go right back into that last sketch. So we'll double click it and we'll hide this, and we don't need to show all these constraints, they just get in the way. So now probably the easiest way to do this is going to be if we made a line here and mirrored. So I'm going to just make a vertical line, doesn't matter where it is, and then I'm going to dimension it, so D. I'm going to make sure I click the inside line here. And click this, that's 24, I need this to be 50. So that's going to make it 50 millimeters from here as well. So this is going to be a new mirror line. So we're going to mirror, so we're going to go back up to sketch, mirror. We want the circle. And we want this outside line. Same thing, circle. The mirror line is going to be this one. Okay. We also want this inside line. We really want to get fancy. We're going to put these inside lines too. Okay. So now I'm going to stop that. We'll go back to our component here. And now we're just going to extrude these. E negative 3.9. And join those. So now we're going to do the exact same thing on this side over here. So the fun part is now we get to mirror more things. So I'm going to mirror this line. Or actually, don't even have to do that. We can do it. Oh. We can just do it this way. So we're going to sketch, mirror, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 pieces. And we're going to choose this center line. And there they are. Stop the sketch. E for extrude. 1, 2, 3.9. All right, let's hide all these sketches. Oops, made a mistake. See this? I wasn't careful. Luckily, I can just go back into this last extrude, edit, and make it negative. And there we go. Now it's back on the right spot. Okay, so there's our cross beams. So now we do that. We turn the hook back on, and here we go. Okay, so this step, not really necessary, but I'm going to do it just to show you. We're going to create more of these hooks just so you can see what the finished piece looks like. So let's look at the front view. We'll actually look at it slightly at an angle so we can see what we need to see down here in a second. So we're going to create a pattern, rectangular, and we're going to choose bodies and then click on the hook. So now it wants us to choose direction. So I'm going to just click on this red line down here so we can choose to move across the X plane. So now we're going to make it symmetric, and then we're going to drag them out. I know the distance is 110 millimeters, so I'm just going to put it in there. And there we go. So now this is what your bracket or your hook guy is going to look like. Coat hanger. We'll call it a coat rack. Wall-mounted coat rack. That's it. It's a wall-mounted coat rack. And this is it. So we only really need to print. We need to print 3 of these and 2 of these, and we're good. So let's go ahead and save these models and go into Simplify 3D. Okay, so I went ahead and brought them into Simplify 3D, and I'm going to use Jetfire, which is my CR10S4, because that's plenty big to print all of these pieces at one time. So let's go ahead and look at top view. Now let's check this out here. We want this to be fairly strong, so let's go with 25% infill. Now notice I have on this machine a 0.6 nozzle, so it's a little beefier, and it will also take a little bit less time to print. So let's make sure we've got everything set here. We'll do them a 0.2 with 5 top and bottom layers and 2 shells, and we should be good to go. Let's prepare to print. All right, this is going to take, this says 3 hours 44 minutes, so probably 5 hours. And we'll give it a quick look. Oops. And we'll give it a quick look. Looks good. All right, let's print it and see what happens. All right, here's the parts. Now, the one thing I want to show you, I mentioned when I was talking through the Fusion demo, is the tolerance. So we made these little 0.1 millimeter tolerances in here. Now, it's really important that I say I did not file these. I did not do anything to these. My printers are super calibrated. I keep them calibrated and I do it all the time. I want you to see how simple this is. That snaps in and it stays. Snaps in and stays. So when we assemble, it's just a matter of push fitting these together. So as you can see, everything holds together nicely. If I had actually made more of a section for this to snap into on the end side of things, I could actually hold it, I mean I kind of can, without them falling out. So that's what a tight tolerance is good for. So now all you need to do is take your screws and screw this directly through both pieces right into the wall. And here we go, all screwed together. Now, just being realistic, the way it's designed is not going to support your leather jacket or your parka. But this was just something to show you how you can design it. If you want something that's gonna hold a leather jacket, it's gonna have to be thicker, it's gonna have to be bigger, you're gonna need more support, it's gonna have to be thicker in here. But now you know how to do that, and that's great. So at this point, you could just take it, screw it into the wall. Well, you couldn't really with the screws in it, but you know what I mean. Screw it right into the wall and you're done. Or a door. This would be great for a bathroom door. This particular size one would be great for a bathroom door, bathrobes, things like that. This would support. So what I'm going to start doing with all of this video series is I'm going to start uploading the Fusion 360 file and the STL files, and we're going to link them below in the guide down there. So here we go. Here's our hanger, coat rack thing. If you just, I mean, if you live by yourself and you only want one, you can just print off one and screw it to the wall. That's all you need. I would do that. So that's it. Ta-da. Hope you learned something. I think I tried a couple of different things that we haven't done on the previous videos. If you have any suggestions or comments, please leave them below. If there's something that you would like to figure out how to make yourself using Fusion 360, I would be happy to try to figure it out for you and show you how to do it. Again, leave a comment down there in the thing. So there we go. So if you like this video, click this guy. If you didn't like this video, click this guy anyway. Don't click this guy, it makes me sad. Now I'm gonna get a whole bunch of this guys. Anyway, so don't forget to like, subscribe, ring the bell or click the bell so you get notified when we upload a new video. I know we'd have some really cool other videos not featuring me coming up, and we've got some other videos featuring me coming up. Next up is actually going to be a quick lesson on how to use images in your 3D printing as SVGs, and well, you'll see in our next video. So anyway, until then, my name is Chris from Versus 3D down here at 3D Printing Canada. You guys have a good day and take it easy.